Hello friends, this is Yusuf here. Welcome to an interesting video. So this video I wanted to make for a long time. Okay, I think it's a good time. So what I wanted to cover in this video is as a IBM not developer, as a RPG developer in IBM, I say for example, okay, we have been working for few years. Okay, but when we look back right outside the IBM world, there are many things happening. So from my perspective as a general IT guy, right, we are technical people, we should know what's happening outside. So we should also develop a skill set which is there outside IBMI so that it will help us in future anyways. So it's going to be in this video, right, I'm going to just share you what I have learned in this 1 year, which is 2018, okay, and what I have observed about the outside world. So I'm going to just list down all the things which is happening, okay, so that it will give you an awareness and you can think what you can just add it in your career. Okay, so this will also help us to understand what we can learn in next year 2019, and that's going to be my objective on my YouTube channel as well. So let's get started. So before it, right, if you take any application, right, we are IT professionals, so we are building an application in IBMI, which means we'll be having a front end and a back end and a middleware. Okay, this is a general concept of the application. So we use display files, subfiles for front end, and we use physical file as a DB2 as a back end. Okay, we use RPGL, SQL RPGL as a middleware. Okay, and then we connect everything to make a application. But outside the world, right, it's not the case. It will be a different things. So the primary things are web applications, desktop application, mobile applications. So we're going to see one by one and what are all the languages and technologies they are using to build those things. Okay, so first let's start with the front end development. So a front end development is nothing but you can take any website. Okay, you are seeing a front end which is actually a website itself. Okay, and that website will be built based on HTML, CSS and Bootstrap. So HTML and CSS are the very basic things to build a website. You might be already aware of it. So HTML is actually the markup and CSS is actually for the styling, and Bootstrap is actually a CSS framework which will make us to build an rapid styling of our website. Okay, there are pre-built CSS classes available and we can just use it to style our web pages. Okay, and we have the next thing called JavaScript. So JavaScript was introduced as a client side programming language. Okay, but now it has been used under server side. We'll see it later. But JavaScript is actually used to dynamically change the content of the website in the browser side. So in addition to the JavaScript, right, there is a new standard called ES6, which is ECMAScript 6, which was introduced in 2017. Okay, which added a lot of features. Okay, so JavaScript becomes very popular. You will be seeing what are all the other frameworks are built based on JavaScript in the future in the upcoming video. Okay, so next we have jQuery. So jQuery is actually is a way to have it's a library of JavaScript. Okay, and you can use it to change the DOM content, and then you can add animations and then other stuffs. And the main purpose of jQuery is not the main purpose. The main advantage of jQuery was Ajax. Okay, which is the which is the dynamic way of calling the API without reloading the page. Okay, so if you learn these things, right, you can be a you can be a front end developer as well. But what happened was, even though these are front-end languages, there are frameworks was populated. Okay, so there are 3 popular frameworks as of now based on the JavaScript itself, called AngularJS, Vue.js and React.js. So these are all the frameworks using which we can build the front-end applications very easily. Okay, and if you come down, right, there are other side, which is the server side. So if you compare this, right, it's just your display file kind of stuff. Okay, you see the front end, so that's what we talked about. But what happens to the back end? So if we do anything, okay, the request will go to the back end and then should process it, right? So there comes the server side. So at present, these are all the top server side languages like Node.js, Python, PHP, C Sharp, Go and Ruby. Okay, there are other standard things like Java, okay, other stuffs, but I'm just mentioning here the popular ones as of 2018 and then the trend going towards. Okay, so Node.js is actually JavaScript runtime, which is used at the server side language now. Okay, we can do all the, we can create a server and then we can make our we can make a web server and then make a web request and then response, those stuffs. Okay, and Python. So Python is going to be a a must-learn language at present, okay, because the Python is very versatile and we can do many things with Python. So you'll be also seeing it down the line when I talk about other things, okay. And Python is also used as a server-side languages for creating a web application. And PHP mostly is because it's a popular one, so you people might have already heard it. Okay, PHP is one of the server-side languages available even now. Okay, and then we have C Sharp, Go, and then Ruby. So these are all also server-side languages. But at the same time, how we saw that front end is having also a framework, like the server side is also having a framework like Express for Node.js, Flask and Django for Python, okay, Laravel and Symfony for PHP, ASP.NET for C Sharp, and Ruby on Rails for Ruby. Okay, if you take a Java, we have the Spring framework for Java as well. Okay, fine. So if you come down, right, so these two combine together to form a web application. But we talked about front end and back end, but there is a we talked about front end and then server side, but there is a database involved. So we know about DB2, physical file, those stuffs, but what are all the things available apart from that? So majorly there are, we know two things, right? One is the RDBMS, another thing is NoSQL. So RDBMS is actually a relational database. So DB2 is also a relational database, but we also have MySql, PostgreSQL, those stuff. But there comes a concept of NoSQL in which we don't need to have a same column for each rows. Okay, that is the advantage of NoSQL, and we can just store any kind of data into NoSQL. So MongoDB is one of the best example, and it's currently the top when it comes to NoSQL. And there are other type of database as well, like cloud and lightweight. So the cloud is nothing but we don't need to own the data. So the best example is FireBase, which is Google provides it. Okay, so you can just create an account with FireBase, and then you can create a database on the cloud. Okay, which means that data is not physically stored in your hard disk or in your laptop, whatever. Okay, they will give a API, so we just need to use that API to create and then retrieve data. That's it. And there are some lightweight things like SQLite. So SQLite comes along with the Python. Okay, this can be used as a development database. Okay, because it's very lightweight. Okay, then comes the mobile development. So whatever we talked about, right, it's based on a web application. It runs on the browser, but we also need, right, we are also having an app in mobile. This is also one of the way, like we have Android and iOS. These are the two main things, like we know, right, we have two main devices in the world, Android and iOS. So for Android, if you want to develop the code natively, you should use Java or Kotlin. For iOS, you need to use Shift. But there are other things. The thing is called converting a web code into a native code. Okay, because you can just design your application as like a web application, but there are tools to convert that into a mobile application. So these are the few examples. Like we have React Native, which is based on a React.js, and then Ionic is actually a framework which will help us to create the application with just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but it will convert to a native mobile code. And we have a Flutter, which is based on the Google again, which is using something called Dart as a programming language to create the mobile application. And for C# language, we have the framework called Xamarin. But the good thing is, right, if you create a application with these things, right, this is a React or Ionic or Flutter, that will work in both Android and iOS without any problem. Okay, but if you see the other thing, right, the native code, if you write a code for Java or for Android, the same will not work in iOS. So you need to recreate the same application in using Shift. Okay, but in the below case, right, you write once, but it works in both Android and iOS. So that is the best advantage. So people are going towards this way of web code into native code. Okay, what next we have? We have something called desktop application development. So right, you have your Windows PC and Mac OS. So that is also having the applications. Say for example, your calculator is application, your notepad is application. So there are desktop application development in the world, which means for developing a Windows application, people are using C#, and for Mac OS, they're using Objective-C. Now here also there is a trend, which is you develop with one, and that should work in both Windows and Mac OS and also Linux. That's called cross-platform application. So for that, there is a tool called Electron, using which we can create a cross-platform desktop application. Okay, so we have seen these things. What next we have? So these are all the some of the trending things happening in the world, called DevOps, big data, blockchain, and IoT. So DevOps is kind of automating your development and operational work. Say for example, so we guys are based on IBM, right? So if you're writing a code and then moving the code from development to production, you may be already having a production server available, so you just move the code and then compile those stuffs, or you may use some tools like Aldon or whatever. Okay, but in web application, right, it's not the case. Okay, you'll be having a development server. Okay, but the production server will be newly given, so there will not be any available software, so you need to install it from the scratch. So those versions should match. So there are a lot of things. Okay, it's called a pure server building itself. So this will take a lot of time and then effort. So for that, to eliminate those mistakes and then to easy those steps, right, there are tools like Jenkins and Docker are available. Okay, and then there comes the big data. So we all know about big data, right? So it is a distributed way of calculating or processing the data. Okay, so we have the technologies like Hadoop, HDFS, HBase, Hive, Apache Spark, those stuffs. And there are other things like blockchain, which is a concept of decentralized application. So the best example is cryptocurrency. Okay, Bitcoin basically. Okay, then we have something called IoT. So it's called Internet of Things. Okay, so you can develop an Internet of Things application using a Raspberry Pi using Python. So Raspberry Pi is nothing but it's like a small chip, okay, which can act as a computer. Okay, it will be having its own CPU input and output things. So we can install a Raspberry Pi OS, and then we can just attach that particular device anywhere in the world. Okay, any device we want basically. Okay, it will talk to internet basically. Okay, then what else we have? And we have something called data science and visualization. So this is also one of the trending job in the world currently. Okay, so the data science and visualization, basically you have a large amount of data, but you want to get insight of the data. So you want to find a pattern or analyze the data and then predict what's going to come. So there comes the data science and then visualization. And Python is one of the most used language for data science, and we have something like we have libraries like Matplotlib, Seaborn for visualizing the data, and Pandas, NumPy, and for processing the data. And there is also a language called R, which is also very popular on data science. And finally, we have AI and machine learning. So in 2018, right, or for the years going to come, these two things is going to take the world. Okay, so many people are confusing with artificial intelligence with machine learning, but basically machine learning is actually a subset of artificial intelligence. So if you just put a hierarchy, right, it will come like first AI, and then that contains machine learning. Machine learning contains deep learning, and deep learning contains neural networks. Okay, so when I talk about these things, right, it's all alien to you. Okay, you may not understand what I'm talking, but it's the same thing happened to me when I came to know these keywords basically. Okay, but these are things happening in parallelly with us. Okay, when we are just doing whatever we are doing. Okay, so I just want to make sure this awareness should come to you people also. Okay, and for AI and machine learning, there is a Python library called NumPy, scikit-learn, and Pandas TensorFlow. Okay, which will help us to implement the machine learning algorithms. So just think, okay, we spent like few minutes here. Okay, so apart from the IBM stuff, right, the world is doing this much stuff. Okay, so if you want to survive in the industry, I would say don't just stop with IBM. Okay, if you know what you know, that's not enough. So you should learn something else in parallel, which is trending or which is going to help us to move to the different technology or just to survive in the industry. So with these things in mind, right, what we are going to learn in 2019. So basically, I'm just going to have crash course Python coming in. Okay, that's for two things. First thing is it will help me to learn first. Okay, and then it will help me to educate others. Okay, because what I learned from my crash course RPGLE is I learned a lot. Okay, because when I want to make a video, I will do a research first, then I understand the concept, then I teach. So this way my level of skills and knowledge has improved. So with that in mind, right, I'm just going to create a crash course Python, okay, for the next year 2019. Hope that will help you guys as well. So that's it for this video. I think it's been a long video, so I just want to give this awareness of what I have learned in 2018 to you guys. Okay, just think about it and then you can pick something from this and then you can learn in parallel. That will surely help you in the future. So yeah, so that's it from my side. I hope the next year going to be a very great year, and then we'll be having a lot more things to learn, and then let's keep sharing the knowledge and then help each other. Okay, thank you, bye bye.